Podcast, your favorite Pokemon podcaster's favorite Pokemon podcast. I am Kyle or Koopa, however you may know me on the internet, and I am joined once again, as I am every week, by my co-host, the Pony Bottle Champ, Mr. George Fabre. George, how you doing, buddy?
Well, hello there. I'm feeling crazy today, man. I've had a long day, a long day. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing all right. I've also had a weird day today. I think what's the expression they use? Mercury's in Gatorade or something like that.
Mercury is originally was called Gator Aid.
For those of you that get that one, but I'm doing all right though. It's happy first day of October. We've made it to month 10 of the year, so we're motoring our way through, but we got quite the show for you guys today. We have two regionals we have to talk about. We're going to talk about some stuff that happened around our area, as one does, and we got a couple of fun little things that we are going to throw in there as including a very topical Squawk receives, if I do say so myself. Might be blowing this one early, but I don't care. And I couldn't really think of anything else this week, so it's funny.
It's a good one.
But
it's a good one.
It is a good one. But I'll start as I do every episode, George. How was your day today? How you doing?
Brother? Man. Sheesh. Woke up, had a 8:30 meeting. It was like a positive meeting because we actually had a very good month. So it was all right. It was kind of just longer than I thought it would be. And then I just drove all over New Jersey today. I was down in Morristown, Old Bridge, Freehold. Finally got some Popeyes on my way back. Popeyes chicken is a shiznit. And I'm happier now that I'm talking to you, brother.
Yeah, likewise. I always look forward to this every week, and and we're back to just the two of us this week. We no more guests. I lied until something fun happens, but
building
we can make it if we try.
Oh, what? I don't know the words, man. I don't know the words to any song.
This is George's thing. George doesn't know the words to any song that he sings, so he'll have like he'll sing it. He'll have a vocal stem, and then he'll sing it, and then he'll sing it wrong for like a week. And then after the week of singing, he's like, "Are those the words? I don't even know." It's just like you sound like an insane person when you do it like that. But I think that's what's so endearing about you. You're clinically insane, but you're adorable while you do it.
And somehow functioning adult. Go figure.
Yeah, shout outs to paying rent. Love that. But no, today, if I had my hat to wear, I'd tip it. But it's been a weird day today, man. I'm really tired today. I didn't sleep great last night. I've just been really busy with stuff on the home front. A long weekend for both of us in several regards. I went to a wedding this past weekend.
Real quick. That's why I'm having such a bad day. I forgot to mention this. Sorry to cut you off. But listen to this story. I know we're not a fantasy football podcast, but we like to sprinkle it in every once in a while. I was up 20 points going into the last night's games, right? You know how I lost? That stupid safety in the Titans-Dolphins game. Titans get a safety at the end of the game. I lose by 2.14 points at the end. Can you believe that? That's why I'm in such a bad mood today. I forgot all about that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I blew like a 10-point league in one of my leagues because Kyle Pitts decided to put up a goose egg. So
as he does,
not a great start to my as he does, unfortunately. So I put up a goose egg in both my leagues this week.
Puts the name Kyle to shame, quite frankly.
I agree. He's definitely on the bottom of the list of Kyles that I know, and I know a lot of Kyles. But yeah, that was fun. I went to a wedding this weekend, so I'm still recovering from that. Turns out when you turn 30, all that happens is all your friends start getting married, so all your weekends become swamped. But then I got to experience going to a wedding into a League Cup the next day. We both attended the Highlander Games League Cup, which again, shout out to Highlander Games, one of the best shops in our local areas. We do our little local wrap up, and we'll start with the cup, George. We both stunk. We both rough
stink.
Saturdays.
Yeah, we're bad. Pelipper is not it as cool as it wants to be and wants to be it. It is not it. I actually did a lot better with a modified version of the list on Sunday. But Friday and Saturday, man, I went a whopping 1-6 with that list. So safe to say I will not be playing that list ever again. I am seizing that list.
Yeah, I'm every time I see you play the Pelipper, I'm still convinced it's not real. Like,
It's not.
I applaud you for trying, but it's cute.
It's not real.
For those of you that are, yeah,
And
for those of you that
Briar's
are unaware,
also a
George has been
lie.
playing the. Ah, we'll talk about that. That'll be topical in a little bit, but yeah, George had a bad experience with Briar. I just had a bad day in general. I was pretty gassed when I got to the League Cup on Saturday, so I knew it was going to be kind of a rough day upstairs. I went a whopping 1-3 drop at the Cup this weekend, which kind of stinks because given my work schedule, I don't get to go out to Cups uh, very often on Saturdays, which is where a lot of the League Cups in the areas are held. So I felt kind of crappy about that one. I lost some pretty close games. I made some pretty foolish decisions. I managed to blow a 4 prize and a 5 prize lead in 2 rounds back to back, and I'm just like, man, I want to die right now. Like I was
Yeah.
just making a lot of boneheaded
And
decisions, and the
and
deck just stopped working on me a couple times.
I haven't told you this either, but we had a really big missed opportunity because as soon as you left, they were like, "Where did Kyle go?" I'm like, "Oh, he had to go somewhere. He had a birthday party or something." They're like, "Oh, it would have been great to get you guys cast Final Cut or Top Cut," and I'm like, "Wow, me and Kyle casting Top Cut would have been sick, honestly."
Yeah, it's a shame it I had to go. It was also my roommate's birthday on Saturday, so again, I'm very gassed, and I had to recharge my social battery for days without having to see anybody. So, but yeah, so we both stunk up at the cup, but shout outs to our friends at the Highlander Cup that did finish well and are going to implement the new screen share feature we got here on our
Whoa,
recording.
whoa.
Shout outs to our friend. Yeah, big shout outs to our friend. Oh, I hit the wrong video. Shout outs to our buddy Nick and Harrell, who made top four. And shout outs to our buddy and listener of the show, Matt Schreck, taking it home with Raging Bolt this weekend. So over a Nick playing Quad Thorns.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching Harrell and Nick play the Quad Thrones mirror, and they decided to not use audio for that. Everybody, and I mean everybody, missed out on some hilarious content with that. It was everybody in the room were just cracking up the entire time because it's such a stupid
Yeah.
mirror. Like it's just a coin flip, and then you just have Harrell going, "Sure, sure, sure, yeah, maybe next time I could get a heads," you know, and Nick just bullying him the entire time. So it was hilarious. It was a fun time. But yeah,
Yeah,
here
it was a weird
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
was going to say here you see a key, factor in why Matt was able to take home this Flutter main put in work. If you're looking at the screen here, we got Flutter main and active going up against Quad Thorns. The only way that you can use Ogre Pond Teal Mask, and quite frankly, this is probably the only reason this card um, that actually won Matt the cup on Saturday.
Yeah, Fluttermane turned out to be a great tech call this weekend for Matt. Matt is again a big local guy. He's really good. He does usually does really well at all these all these cups and challenges we have locally. And I'd love to see hopefully get Matt out to some bigger events because he's really good, man. He's
Yeah,
not an easy out under any circumstances.
he was at Baltimore, and I was talking to him before. It was his first regional. He was asking me about some things, what to expect, and I was like, just don't expect to do well your first regional. It's really hard, and I think he did a lot better than I did. So maybe I should take some more advice from him. But Matt is just he's overall great guy, man. Just good dude, you know, down to earth, and I always enjoy the conversations with him. So really happy to see him take home the cup win, and I'm extremely happy for him.
Yeah, defended the house for sure. We love to see it. Shout out to Nick and Harrell, who with a finals and a top four performance with Iron Thorns. That deck stinks. And thanks to those guys, I have to start putting this back in my Lugia deck
Hmm.
because local metas are a thing, and I can dodge the Iron Thorns or regionals, except when I don't. But at the locals, at the local area, I know there's a handful of people that go to Highland that'll love to play to play that deck. So, I'd
Yep.
rather not give myself a complete auto loss going into that. And Fluttermane turned out to be the perfect call there. I think that little guy is very effective, especially as an ancient Pokemon. I can be a one prize attacker in your in your ancient box or in your Raging Bolt deck. That's a lot of words there, but
Yep. Those are words.
good stuff. And then you also went somewhere on Sunday, correct?
Yeah, rip and ship games out in Long Island, on Long Island, on Long Island. When you're there, you're on the
I just learned that
island.
as a way to say that today. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just learned that today actually.
you're on the island that is long. But yeah, it was actually a really really great store. They actually gave giveaways in between every single round. Spun a wheel and gave giveaways. One of the giveaways was Pop Series One pack. Pretty
Ooh,
pretty
wow.
sick. I didn't win, of course, because my luck is shit. But um, I lost round one to Lugia. I misplayed because that's what I do. And then round two, I beat the brakes off of a kid playing, what was it? HM Box. And I go Dusclops, Dusknor, knockout of Roaring Moon. And then he's down to three prizes. The prize card I get is Iono, and I don't have any cards in my hand. I played down Iona. He's like, man, that's really messed up. I'm like, I start laughing. I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry. That is really messed up. He was so upset. I was like, he's like, I can't win now. I'm like, no, you probably cannot. And I ended up just blowing through him. And yeah, because he had no Roaring Moons down after I took out his two, and I owned him to three. He had nothing on the board, and he was pretty upset with me. But then I played a Miraidon. I won that. That's a very easy matchup for Charizard. And then I had to ID against Harrell because he was 3-0 and we got matched up. And he's like, I don't want to play this mirror. I'm like, it's not a mirror. You're playing Palkia. I'm playing Charizard. He's like, yeah, but we both have the bomb decks. He's like, and also, I don't want anybody to see our matchup. So we end up IDing round four. Round five, I hit a Terapagos that I am just cruising through. Then all of a sudden, he takes on my lone Charizard EX with an Iron Leaves from the top rope out of nowhere. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This guy goes Glass Trumpet, Ultra Ball, Iron Thorns to the active, knockout Charizard. I'm like, you are just way better than me, apparently, because this is sick. And he's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I'm like, dude, do not say sorry. That was absolutely epic. You played it for a reason, and I did not see it coming. So, Rip and Ship, shout out to them. They're a really cool place. A lot of great cards too, and I actually spent $30 on a Evolutions pack and pulled nothing. Pulled an Electabuzz actually. So
There you go. We take those.
I
That
guess.
sounds like a nice place. I think. Well, that's a local shop to one of my friends on Twitter that I know. So I've heard that shop's really nice. I would love to get out there sometime. So, but I'm sure you feel the same way as someone that lives where we live. Journeying out to Long Island is like it's like watching like an Avengers movie. You have to dedicate the whole day to it, and it's like you have to like chop out 6 hours of your day just to get there. It's a lot.
I mean,
But
I woke up at 7. I left the house at 7:30. Got bagels for the gang. Met Harrell, and we were at the shop by like 9:25. So it really wasn't that bad.
it's not that bad. Well, shouts to Rip and Ship. We'll hopefully be hitting that up again. I think that's something we got to start doing again. I loved going on that little road trip we went to Connecticut with everyone
Yep.
last year. I think we should do one of those like a month. Find a weekend where there's a cup somewhere that we can just take a drive out to and see where
Well,
how
and
things are.
I agree because you, sir, put on a hell of a show with the Squawk cast, the VOD of us in Baltimore. Dude, I was laughing, I was crying, my emotions were all over the place. It was so cool just to see us out in the wild. I think you did a great job with it, man. It was cool. And I think we're going to get take a trip into the city, like you mentioned, like to do some trips on Sunday. And maybe, I don't know, little VOD for that as well.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Vlogging is something that's like very out of my comfort zone. It's something I've never done before. It's something that it's like kind of I've always wanted to try doing that. Just because I live a very, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but like I live a very different life. Between esports commentary, I get to travel a lot, so I've always wanted to take that like behind the scenes look, and I love like Pokemon vlogs. One of my favorite YouTubers is Sneaker Talk TCG, and one of the big reasons I got into Pokemon as much as I did is that I watched his tournament vlogs that he did. He would go to all the big regionals and take this really high quality content of go in depth with his games, interviewing people on the floor. Mine was very much bare bones, and I was just trying to get a feel for the whole thing. But also it was a lot of just I wanted to showcase us. I think we're a fun group of people to hang out with personally.
Yeah,
So
and
I had a lot of fun doing that.
using the video too from my meta glasses in the beginning. That was such a cool way to enter it too, man. That was such a good idea. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. No, it was fun. And I actually got a lot more footage than I thought I did. Like after when I was kind of scrubbing through everything, I was just like, ooh, I hope I have enough to like put something together here. But we got like 15 minutes of content out of it, and it was fun. So I think I got some notes for myself that I'll take for next time for sure. Always improving. And I think the next everyone from this point on is going to be way better than the next. So I would love to incorporate this locally. Again, one of my other YouTubers that I enjoy watching their content is Professor Walt. Walt is another guy that does a lot of vlogs at regionals, but he also does weekly vlogs at his weekly tournaments. And I think it's a fun way to introduce people to your scene. Everybody's local scene's a little bit different. I love that sort of stuff. It's very comfy. It's easy stuff for me to watch, when I'm working on my desk. So I'm very excited to bring that to you guys. So let's listen. If you're coming to a local shop near you, is a Squawk TV. So this is what happens when you host a podcast. You just have to hope your friends consent to being on film at all times.
Content,
I
content,
guess.
content, baby. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, we got some stuff coming up. This weekend, like we said, we'll see what the rest of the month looks like. This is what happens when Omar retires. Omar was the guy that looked up all the events for us, and then we could. And now we have to pick up the slack of finding all that stuff.
Yeah,
What
he did give us a site though. So I mean,
he did give us the site, yeah. So we'll and again use the locator app on the Pokemon website as well. But we're not here to talk about our locals as much as we love to do so. We are here to talk about two regionals that happened this weekend. There was two regionals this weekend, which is actually the first and only time this is going to happen all year. I know there was a handful of weekends last year where there was multiple regionals on multiple weekends, but this is the only case of that happening this year. We had Joinville in Brazil and Dortmund in Europe. Lost my train of thought for a second.
Germany. I mean,
Germany.
You had great pronunciation on that as well. Dortmund. You know,
Dortmund. I try every day. Yeah, it was beautiful. But yeah, we can talk about the Joinville stuff first because there was no stream for that, unfortunately. But Dortmund was taken down by, or excuse me, regional Joinville was taken down by Yurko Valencia with Lugia V-Star going over Giovanni Sasso and Terapagos Dustnor. So looking at the deck list here, for Yurko, again, pretty standard Lugia stuff. You have your 3/3 Lugia V-Star. The Wellspring Max Ogerpon making an appearance is always fun. This is definitely a fringe card in most Lugia lists, and also playing a bit of a lighter supporter, line than what we're used to. Also opting to play 2 Nest Ball and 2 Great Ball, so really maximizing your ball search. And play 1 copy of the Thornton, which again has been kind of a fringe in and out card in Lugia. I wish I could have watched some of the games. It was all the deck looks very very solid, and again, most of these Lugia lists are so refined. I think it's just going to be a matter of 3 or 4 cards changing between lists, and we'll talk about Lugia a little bit more in a second. But yep, I think this list looks pretty standard, all things across the board here.
Yeah, I think you should definitely play this list. To be quite frank with you, this list looks very,
You
very
know what?
balanced.
It's fine. No, I joke. But looking at the Giovanni's list here, which also looks like the same 60 as the fourth place list. Um, we're seeing how Terapagos has kind of come to be. This is our first regional in the Stellar Crown format. This and Dortmund, and we're seeing a lot of people, I guess, kind of sift through the best way to play Terapagos, and it looks like here the partnership of Dustnor and Pidgeot, a whole colorless package seems to be the way to go. But I think to not play the Fan Rotom in this list, I'm going to go heavy Knockdown with that Jewel Seeker, going a full 4/4 Hootie and Knockdown. So is anything from this list that you find surprising, George?
Um, Nothing really surprising. All your standard characters here. Only 4 double turbo. It's pretty crazy. Could be kind of tough to find that a lot of the time. I guess I would assume you would play a colorless tenacity, but I don't see that. So I'm just curious how they're finding. I guess with Pidgeot EX and Energy Lotto in one copy is really the only way they're going ahead and finding double turbo. That seems a little scary to me.
It definitely does seem tough. I lied. There was 2 Fan Rotom in there. I couldn't. I think it
Yeah,
was
I was
sandwiched in
going to
there, so
correct
that
you,
helps to
but
get
it's all right.
your. Yeah, no, I caught myself there, but yeah, Fan Rotom's too good of a card to not play in a lot of these lists. I think seeing Giovanni play the 2 is very smart. Helps you get your board set up because you're going to get both your Hoots and your Knockdowns. That also forces your opponent to disrupt your hand. Otherwise, they're going to get blown up the next turn. And I think that's why you're okay playing the 4/4 double turbo energy, um, because you can do something like evolve Hoot, and then you can get rare candy Featherball off of Jewel Seeker, which then helps you get gets your Pidgeot. Pidgeot helps you get everything else. So it forces you to deal with Pidgeot. Pidgeot's one of those magnet Pokemon where you have to pay attention to it. You have Blood Moon or Saluna to clean you up in the end game. And most of the time, you're only ever going to need like 2 of those energies anyway, because it feels like you're only ever attacking with Terapagos. And the Dustor package, very popular this weekend in this deck archetype. And the deck definitely needs it. This deck definitely caps itself at a power level, and I think that's where we're seeing where Dustnor is very effective in those decks that have that have a damage ceiling. So I think being able to spread some damage around, help correct your math, utilize the really broken comeback cards that Dustnor can unlock for you, and I think we're only going to see Tropicos go up from here. I think these lists are going to get much more refined, but
It
definitely
just
a strong showing for sure.
it seems very greedy though, right? Like if you you know prize the Pidgeot EX, like what happens? Like I don't understand. If you prize Featherball, like what
Yeah.
happens? Like there's so many one ofs in here.
Well, I think that's why but I think that's okay if you're playing a 4 line of Knockdown. Knockdown can help you find all the one ofs. I think in other deck engines where you can't cherry pick which of those cards you want, I think you can afford to play a lot of one ofs in this deck because you can, you play Jewel Seeker. It just helps you find whatever you want once you get set up. So, if you don't have, you can evolve one, get the energy lotto. Okay, with the energy lotto. Okay, let me get Iono, or let me get research. Let me find other cards to help me dig, to get access to what I need. So I feel like once you get going with this deck, it's kind of hard for you to stop. And again, once you get, you're only ever gonna need like 2 double turbos. So eventually, you know, you should be able to hit it. But
Yeah,
I
I'm
do
over
agree.
here.
I think it could lead to some problems.
I'm over here talking about greedy deck lists like I'm not a Charizard bot. You know what I mean? Like the greediest of all greedy
Yeah,
decks.
when
But
you're trying to squeeze a card out of it's one cut in a Charizard deck now is like cutting off a limb. It's tough.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I definitely see it. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Duskull lines, but also not playing any Dusclops. Like, it's so crazy to me, you know? Just having to get to that 13 rare candy. Like, it's a lot of combos, man. But nonetheless, it came in second. So, what the hell do I know?
Yep, and it was littered all over these decks, and we'll talk about it in a bit. But before we move on to Dortmund itself, I would be hard pressed to not mention the beauty that is my Lord and Savior, the third place list, playing a a cloth Hisuian Electro deck in the Lord's Year 2024. George, um, as the resident cloth expert, I think this list is sick. Uh,
Didn't you play Cloth to
is
a
it?
regional?
I did play cloth to a regional like a psychopath. It was the last regional I
well,
entered before Baltimore.
well, this could have been you, man. This could have been you.
Could have been, but nah. This deck is funny. I think cloth is like not. It's a tougher choice now. You lost some really key cards in rotation that made this deck a lot worse. Mainly being the super spicy curry, because that took away your ability to one hit knock out Zard with Hisuian Electrode. For those of you that don't know how Hisuian Electrode works, its first attack lets you swing for a 100 damage per special energy condition you have on you. So you would play Super Spicy Curry to burn yourself, and then you would use Brute Bonnet to poison yourself. So that way you're swinging in the Charizard for 400 damage and you knock it out for no energy, which is really funny.
Yeah, but
So
now we just play the
unfortunately,
super
you've
effective
lost that.
glasses. Super effective
Yeah, now you just
glasses,
play
no
super
problem.
effective glass. Yeah, but it's like you have to find that every turn, and that's not always feasible. Which I think this is why this is only a one of in here. And truthfully, colorless Pokemon are in a good spot right now. I think having a fighting type weakness is like not bad because there aren't great fighting type options. Your best one really is Cloth. So I think
Yeah,
this is
but the
sick. Will I play?
well, real quick, the other thing is too with the Hisuian Electrode, you go poison, and then you have the Radiant Hisuian Sneasler, and then effective glasses knock out Zard, and then it gets knocked out on the poison damage, so they can't even fez after that.
That is true. That is an avenue I did not think of. Um, but at the end of the day, it is still Cloth. You're going to be very uh, you're going to be kind of capped on a damage output for sure. But again, you do play single price Pokemon. I love the addition of the promo Petulant in this deck, the one that was banned at Worlds due to due to being unable to get printed in time. But Toxic Subjugation's just fun. This deck is just silly. Will I play this at some point? Hell yeah, I will because I love Cloth.
Dude,
I think this guy is sick.
you're hitting 260 though with the Mochi. It's not bad at all. Like you're because you're doing what 190 and then 40 more for the Mochi, so that's 230, and then with the Sneasler you're doing 30 damage of poison. 260 you're hitting for. Oh no, I guess it's with double color, so 240. But still, that's knocking out most basic EX and Vs. So I don't know, man.
If there's
Seems
one thing, if there's one thing I would, if there's one deck card I'd love to try to include in here, it's the Perilous Jungle Stadium that adds more damage counters to poison Pokemon. I just think Cloth is sick. I'm a Cloth enjoyer, so will I
well,
play this
I
at some
pulled
point
like
this week?
four stamped ones of those this weekend, so you can have them all.
Oh, brother, don't tempt me with a good time. We're out here. I also got to get a new secret box because I traded away both of mine. So that's an ace spec that I continue to never keep on me. So, oh man, fun
I have
card,
one.
fun
I have
deck.
one too. So let me know.
Thanks, man.
I got you. I
George's
got you.
George's game corner's got me. Yeah, bring it on Wednesday.
Yeah, I might want it back on that one though, because I've been seeing some lists with it, and eventually I'm going to play Guardy again. So
We'll see how you feel. So,
yeah, Yeah.
I'll let you keep the prime catcher if you let me keep the secret box.
I got a stamped prime catcher now, though, bro. I'm all
Ah,
good.
this guy. My prime catcher's not good for him anymore.
It's not good. It's
All right, I'll
not
take it back.
it's not optimal.
All right, let's talk about Dortmund. Uh, so I don't know how much of Dortmund you got to watch. These European tournaments are always on at like the worst times, so I always have to watch them like after the fact. But I did get to watch a good amount of it on Sunday. The tournament was won by Ryuki Okada with Dragapult EX featuring no Pidgeot, George. Instead featuring um, everybody's favorite ghost type Pokemon, Dusnor.
Yeah. Did you see the list? Did I send you the list that I made of Dragapult? Very,
You
very
did, yes.
similar. I didn't have the Tatsugiri. Only played the one Dustnor, and I did the 1/1 Pidgeot, Pidgey line. So everything else is, I think, exactly the same though. Um, for Arvin to Iona, when Chris, I didn't play Roxanne though. Played Briar instead. No Briar's interesting because Dragapult could really abuse that card. They had the rescue board. Obviously, I didn't have that because I'm not playing the Tatsugiri. Not playing the sushi, so I didn't need that. But and then Temple Sinnoh, which obviously I think Dragapult's matchup into Lugia is pretty horrible, so that helps out a ton there.
Yeah, I think the list was expertly crafted. I think and there was the same list as 22nd place finisher and a an IC semifinalist, Keito Arai. They played the same 60. The Tatsugiri technology is interesting. Um, so I like that a lot. And if you throw a rescue board on that thing, it gives you a free pivot every turn. You know, that's I think that's one of the areas where you kind of miss Pidgeot is you miss having that free pivot. But I do think that, if you're gonna go heavy Dust Nor anyway, setting up Pidgeot feels like a lot. Having to ask yourself to set up 3 stage 2s in a deck seems pretty crazy. So I think just kind of being like, all right, Arvin is my Pidgeot. Arvin helps me get everything else I need. Rare Candy Crystal, Rare Candy Forest Seal Stone to get the other piece that I might be missing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Kato played this deck expertly, truthfully. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun to watch going up against Rahul Reddy in finals, who ran back the same 60 for the third straight tournament. I don't know if you got to watch finals or not, but it was very, very exciting stuff.
It was on at the store, so we watched a little bit of it. But by that time, Rahul was essentially just cooked, and we were trying to think of an out that he had, and I think at one point he just needed to find Messagoza with like double turbo and boss, and we are just like, dude, this is too much. He's not going to be able to come back from this.
Yeah, it was a tough position to be in. Rahul kind of caught a couple of Lugia hands where things just did not really work out his way. And Kato just had the board set up every time. And again, I think this is another instance where Pokemon like Dusknoir works very well in a deck like Dragapult. And I also think, you mentioned that not seeing any Briar. I don't really think this deck needs it because if you set up your math enough times, you're taking 4 prize knockouts anyway. You can pop a Dusknoir here, take a prize card or something, set up math on a bigger guy on the bench, and then you're just a Phantom Dive away from taking a 4 prize card turn. I think there was a game I saw on stream earlier where he blew up a Dusknoir, popped the Lugia on the bench, and then set it up perfectly for 4 prizes, to be knocked out. So I don't think this
Yes,
deck needs a go ahead.
yeah, I said it earlier. Like Briar is a lie for sure. So, I mean, you're better off without it.
Oh yeah, we never got to tell your Briar story. Do you want to tell your Briar story real
I
quick?
don't know if I even want to relive it, man. It was so embarrassing. But I'll tell it. So I'm going up against Moon. I have 4 prizes left. They have um, three, I believe, and I pop a. No, they have four left. I pop a Dusclops, pop a Dustnor, have them go down to two, and then I take a knockout on. Uh, What was that? You watching Instagram over
No,
there?
no, I accidentally clicked on something. My bad.
Yeah. Oh my god. Scared me for a second. Um, yeah. So I knock out Mu EX on the bench with Dustnor Dustclops doing 180, and then they're on two. I'm on two. Baby Moon is in the active. I need to find Charizard EX. I prized one. One's in the discard. Prized two energy. I only play four. It's really tough. So I'm like, wait, I have it here. I hit Briar, what they have two left. And then I'm like, I have this. I go Night Stretcher for Radiant Zard and Fire Energy and announce attack for Radiant Charizard. I'm like, for 250 Combustion Blast in game. And they're like, no, sir. Briar only works with Terra Pokemon. And I'm like, I am a loser because I also have in hand the entire time Counter Catcher. So I just pop the Dustclops, let them go down to three, counter catcher, pop the other one, and then knock out, and I win. But, you know, only a good player can do that. And quite frankly, that's not me. I'm not that guy.
Hey, man, we all have those days, and that stinks. And this is why we play the game that we do sometimes. To help us to help us figure out, how things work. Because we're all, it's our first time playing in an official with, sanctioned event with the Briar, and it's a lot of figuring out. I actually walked by the judges table where there's another Briar discussion of like you can only use the card if there's exactly two prizes left. Like you can't use it. You know. You can't use it after you've gotten past that point. There was a fly in front of me. My bad.
Yeah, I know.
I had to get that.
Lots going on over there today.
It's been a weird day, man.
Tell me about it. Question for you, though, Kyle.
Yes.
Rahul Reddy, playing Lugia in Worlds in Baltimore and now in Dortmund, having this insane run. Is he just the luckiest Lugia player of all time?
Well, luck is a little bit of a factor with Lugia. You have to hope that your deck shows up. And even Rahul is admitted in his stream interviews that, if you play Lugia in a best of three, 1 out of 3 games you're probably not going to be able to play. And he kind of had a brick of a game against Ryuki in finals. But I got to say, man, Rahul definitely gets my flowers. If we're doing like a who won the weekend type thing on a podcast, Rahul definitely has gone on a tear these last 3 tournaments, Worlds and the first 2 regionals of the season that he's locked in Lugia. He went 10-3 in Worlds for 9th place. He went 12-2-1 in Baltimore, and he went 12-1-2 this weekend. He said the only thing he's changed since Worlds is his sleeves. He's won 34 games and like lost, what's the math there? Like 34, 3 and 2 or something like that. Like he's only lost 3 games playing this deck, and that's the beauty of Lugia, right now. Like it's tough because like it's when you don't get to play the game, it's a bad deck, obviously, but that's given for a lot of decks. But when this deck sets up and it stabilizes, you have all the tools at your disposal to, win the game that's in front of you. And you're seeing these lists that play, some lists play a heavier Chinchino line. Some lists don't. Some lists play the Wellspring Ogerpon. Some lists play the Weird Ear. A lot of lists are playing the Squawkabilly now. We saw that Lugia is in a really just solid spot in the meta right now. And I think I saw someone say this on Twitter, that the format feels kind of off, that like, I think a lot of it has to do that a lot of people don't like Dusknoir as a card, and we can talk about that in a little bit. But I just think someone point out there, I think we're in a less of an S tier deck meta format where like just like one very clear deck that is really good and everything else, and you just have to figure the rest of your matchups out against it. But we're in more of a skill check format where there's a lot of good stuff. All if you like a viable deck, you have the tools to beat the other viable decks. And I think it's like, listen, if there's a deck you're comfortable with, you play it, figure out the matchups, and you could find yourself with really good success. And I think we're seeing that with Lugia. We're seeing that with Charizard and a bunch of other decks.
That's what I think is just like puzzling to me, that people are like, this format stinks. This format stinks. Like, why would you want there to be one deck that's just really good, and you're like, okay, if I'm not playing that, then I pretty much just cooked. Like it, like I
I
don't get
think
it. People are just gonna complain about anything, right?
I agree. I think it's just because the format feels very fast. And there's like a bunch of other problems with standard that I have. Like if you're playing a setup deck, right? Like you're playing against your the other guy playing a turbo deck or something like that. You miss your buddy Poffin on the opening turn, you're cooked. You can't win. And the format just feels too fast sometimes. Where if you don't set up perfectly on the first turn, you do not get the chance to play the game, which does stink. And I think there's and certain decks that like can police some of these other bigger decks. You're forced to play these more turbo decks, and I don't hate turbo decks. A lot of the decks I like to play are like stage one or stage you know basic attacking decks. Lugia is basically a stage one deck, and I play decks like Goldengo, so I like playing decks that can move fast. But like decks like Gardevoir, get decks like Lost Zone, any sort of a rare candy deck, those decks are feel kind of dead right now. Those decks, looking at the limitless pages, flopped this weekend. It's another case of these big basic decks showing up, and now you have the problem of Dusknar being very popular, where Dusknar completely like eliminates these decks from getting a chance to set up, because even if they set up, you can pop a Dusknar and just board wipe, and that's not fun either. So I understand why people are frustrated. I just think it's because I think the combination of Dusknar and the comeback cards are kind of tough. I don't think it's going to be like a game breaking this card needs to be banned problem. I don't know how you feel but I do understand why people would be frustrated with this format, given just how fast things are versus where we were kind of at a pretty good point before, Raging Bolt and Pheasantipity and all those cards came out.
Well, I play a Charizard list with a 3-2-2 line of Duskull and Dusknoir, Dusclops. So I like the card. I think it's um, I think it's skill specific, like you said earlier. I don't know. I Just because a card is overpowered doesn't mean it should be banned. In my mind,
I agree.
I think you just
Yeah,
why
no,
don't you have every opportunity to play the card as well.
yeah, no. I think Dusknoir is a sick card. I do think it can get a little crazy with the other comeback cards. My biggest grief is with hand disruption is a lie. Cards like Pheasantipity that allow you to just your opponent to draw out of whatever they need. I think is tough because it eliminates. Yes, it opens up the comeback for one person, but the term comebacks cards is a very slippery slope because that opens up a lot of scenarios for end game draw and end game disruption isn't nearly as good as it used to be. I just think we're at a point right now where the game's in a fast phase, and I don't know if Surging Sparks fixes any of that. But I'm sure. I think what's going to happen is I think at some point down the line, they're going to be testing these new cards. I think we're going to get cards printed that sort of grief those cards. Like how kind of Kyurem griefed Lost Box, or how Spiritomb was meant to grief Mew. These certain cards that like kind of pinpoint very popular archetypes, and they just print cards to counter those. I think it was I forget what the card was. It was like a stealthy hood card, like a tool card that got printed forever ago that negates the effects of abilities to Pokemon these cards are attached to. So I think that's the next answer. You find cards that stop abilities of stop your Pokemon from being knocked out from abilities or something like that, and then the cycle resets itself. So again, I don't think Dusknoir is going to be enough of a problem for it to get eroded or banned. But I do understand why people would be frustrated with it. Like I said, if I think looking at the results from Dortmund, I think like 9 of the top 12 decks played a line of Dusknoir in it. Even the Raging Bolt list played a 101 line of Dusknoir. So, the card's good. And I just think it's one of those things where you either have to figure out how to counter it, because it isn't like a guaranteed win strategy. Your opponent is still giving you prize cards. So it still is beneficial in your favor if you can return KO, which again, there's enough stuff to help you do that in the format. So I don't know. It's a slippery slope. I don't think Dusknoir is bannable, but I can understand why people are frustrated, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, well, real quick, I want to share one other um, list here. It came in 93rd, but it was a gouging fire list. Did you see this one?
All right, then this one played on stream. If it's the one I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Uh,
This was really cool, man. It to me seemed like what a lot of water decks do with like spread and like attacking the bench, and like also gouging fire, obviously doing 260, kind of being low maintenance. But the Hearth Flame Mask Ogrepon, haven't seen this guy come into play yet, and I don't know. I think it's pretty crazy that this attack does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, with coupled with the Magma Basin, and then you could just go ahead and kind of you know do some damage there that way pretty fast. So sure, like if you get 40 damage counters on it, it's not swinging for a bunch, but it's for sure interesting to finally see the other Ogrepon, the lost Ogrepon, make its way into the Pokemon TCG.
yeah, no. Shout out to the birthday girl Emily Foreman. Happy birthday, Emily. She made a
Happy
tweet
birthday, Em.
last week about how yeah, she made a tweet last week about how Hearthflame Mask Ogrepon was the only Ogrepon card without a limitless page. Which also is funny because this is the most broken Ogrepon in VGC right now. So the contrast is hilarious. If we're talking about fun lists, there is one more I would like to share, and I think you know where I'm going here. We saw how Gouging Fire had a hell of a run this weekend. I believe if they get lost in stream game, I don't remember finishing that one, but hate to see it. But I have to give a shout out to my golden god, the golden goat himself, Mr. Ella Van Kampen, the CEO of Golden Go, finishing third place in Dortmund, right behind Rahul and Ryuki. Literally, like I will never be as good as Ellie Jella because they are Golden Go. Like look at this limitless page real quick. Like if I can pull this up, the entirety of his limitless page is Golden Go. He's paid $1,400 since last year with Golden Go. He got second at Dortmund last season. He got 55th at the Utrecht special event, top 16 in Stockholm last season, and third place again in Dortmund, bookending it. Um, you know, people are asking if Goldengo is like a good play for this meta. It is only a good play if you're Yella Van Kampen. He is the
I
only
mean,
person that can play Goldengo that is success.
what a freaking name too, huh? That's a great name.
The GOAT, yeah.
Sick
Strong
name.
name.
Strong name.
Yeah.
Is this what you're playing tomorrow?
Maybe. I have it sleeved up. I always keep that thing on me. I love Goldango. And I only,
But this list, but this
until,
list.
yeah, I like it a lot. The problem with Goldango is what a lot of other decks have. Like I said, if you don't set up, you're kind of cooked. But I think the combination of Cypher Maniac and your draw engines is good. This deck also uses the Pokestop Night Stretcher combination of that if you choose to go that way. But I think the gist of what this deck is that you load, you get your board set up, you have the Cypher Maniac and a way to get draw on board, and then you just draw on everything you need. So, but you
Yeah.
see the two of Ultra Ball in here. You just opted to play the Prime Catcher and not the Hyper Aroma, which personally I agree with. I don't love Hyper Aroma in a vacuum. Again, I think it's fun getting all your Goldengo out, but getting energy into discard in the back of your hand is harder that way. And Yella played a hell of a game this weekend, man. I love Goldengo. He's the, like I said, the golden goat. And when he speaks, I listen. And I will be playing this list until further notice. I don't think much will change for Goldengo moving forward. I'm curious on what his thoughts are, but it's got a little bit of
As
everything in
much
there. I dig it.
as much of a Lugia bot you are, you're definitely a Goldango fiend at all. Didn't you also play a Goldango list with NTIV in it once?
Yeah, I found a list on Twitter that was like a fire package Goldengo. You played it with like Magma Basin and NTV. I called it hot cheese. When I played it, the deck was a pile. Truthfully, it kind of stunk. And
Hot
as good
cheese.
as much as I like, Yeah, as much as I like Goldango, it does have its problems. You are still a 2 prize beat stick deck. Your only attacker that doesn't have a rule box is Greninja, which you can only use once for the game. So you lose to stuff like Mimikyu and Control. You do play the one of Canceling Cologne, but again, that's only going to get you one, if not two knockouts in a given game. So you are a little linear in what your approach is, but you draw cards and you hit for big damage, which I think is really funny. So I think in metas where like the big basic decks are popular, uh, I think that bodes well for Goldango as well, because even if you go second and, God forbid you start like Palkia or Pheasantipity in the active, your opponent's only ever taking one prize card on the first knockout. And then you get the opportunity to go 2-2-2. So which I think is why I like the deck so much. The local warrior himself, Matt Walter, is also a Goldango fiend himself. So I think the deck is solid. And it's a deck I will always... It's a deck I want to play to a regional once before it rotates out. I haven't played it to a regional yet. I was this close to sending it at Baltimore, but then I was like, I don't want to do that. I
Yeah.
had commitment issues, but shout out to Goldango.
Well,
hell of a game.
Goldango, the string cheese man himself, the pepper jack version, the watered down, whatever you like your nacho cheese, bring it to the table. Please do. All right, Kyle. What do you say? I think it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Squawk or Seize. I think I'm going to lead off for you. I think we're going to change it up here. I'm going to ask you one, and you squawk it or seize it. Then you ask me one, and I squawk or seize it. So this way we can both participate. What do you think about that?
You're right. I'm into it. Let's do it, brother.
All right, I'm going to kick things off.
Let's start by saying what this week's theme is, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just blowing right past it. So this week, speaking of Dusknoir and all of its hype, and we kind of talked about what people thought the problems with it were, figured it'd be a great way to talk about ghost Pokemon and which ones we like and which ones we do not. So that being said, again, I'll start off here. I'm going to give you one that if anybody knows, you should know the answer. But the man, the myth, the legend himself, Gengar.
Squawking all day long. Gengar is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. He can do no wrong. I played Gengar VMAX when it was bad. I love Gengar that much. He's a cool Pokemon. Again, it's a very boring answer. Like everyone loves Gengar. Your friend that doesn't know Pokemon loves Gengar. Your mom loves Gengar. Like it's like really not that hard of a choice.
Yeah,
but
it wouldn't be right if we didn't start. It wouldn't be right if we didn't start with Gengar because he is the GOAT.
No, he's the Pokemon. GOAT.
Yeah. So he has to be first in line.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, I'll give you a bit of a quirky one, because there are a lot of fun ghost type Pokemon, and I think as we get deeper into weeds here, we're gonna find some cool ones. I think these are all cool, truthfully. So I'm gonna give you let's give you a bit of a newer one for those of you. Also, George hasn't played like all of the Pokemon games. He kind of fell out for a bit, so this is gonna be fun getting his opinion on some of these guys. So are you gonna squawk or seize Golurk?
Golurk, that is my dog, dude. Actually, like when I was first getting back into TCG, I used to play on PCTGO a Golurk deck all the time with a Houndour and like single strike energy with the Devolution Beam. I love Golurk. Golurk is my dude, bro. Squawking him all day long. Dude, that Golurk V deck was probably one of the best decks I've ever played in my entire life. I used to just troll people online with that all the time with the Devolution. I don't think it was called Devolution Beam. It was something like that, but it just de-evolved your Pokemon and also did like damage at the same time. And it was probably one of the cooler attacks that were out there.
It was Rewind Beam was the attack.
Rewind Beam. There you go. Yeah. That was such a cool, especially with the single strike energy. Such good synergy there.
Yeah. Yeah, you attach all four, you're doing next for 80 damage, so it's 360. Not bad.
Yeah.
There's a time where I actually tried to make this Pokemon work in a Lugia deck with single strike energy. And then I woke up and I realized that was a terrible idea because you don't play psychic energies. Single strike energy only counts as a fighting or it was tough. It was an idea. I tried, but Golurk is sick. He's personally also one of my favorites as well.
All right. Let's see
All right.
here. Let's see here. Who should I go with? How about Marshadow?
Ooh, that's a good choice. I did not get to play there. For those of you who are TCG enjoyers, you know that the Marshadow from Unbroken Bonds was busted with the Let Loose ability. So much so that card got banned in GLC recently. Um, I am going to Squawk Marshadow. He's adorable. He's aesthetically probably one of the coolest mythical Pokemon. Also has a pretty decent Pokemon movie. He was like one of the main Pokemon in one of the new Pokemon movies that came out, like around the COVID times. Uh, cool little guy. He's adorable. Sun and Moon is fun. I like his aesthetic. I like the lore. He's a cool little dude.
Yeah, he's awesome. I like the cut of his jib.
Ghost type Pokemon are just cool, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to seize any of
Keeping
these.
it's gonna be tough, but we'll try. All right, let's keep the good times rolling here. I'm gonna give you. There's a lot of funny guys on this list. All right, this one's kind of a layup because it is cool. Uh, we're gonna keep it with one of my personal favorites as well. Are we squawking or seizing Aegislash?
Aegislash is pretty dope, but he's just like, or it's just like a sword and a shield, man. Like it's kind of stupid. I don't know. Um, I know it was broken in VGC at one point. I think it was really bad. It was a promo card in one of the Scarlet and Violet sets. I remember playing it in a pre-release. Huh. I'm gonna seize Aegislash. Screw that guy. I I
Oh,
mean it's got the two different forms. You could go in what is it called, like hero mode or night mode or attack
oh,
mode
it's
or defense. But I don't
shield.
even
Yeah, shield form or blade form. It's very
should feel yeah. Yes, that makes a lot of sense
easy
actually.
stuff.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it doesn't do it for me. It's kind of whack. Seize. We're seizing that one. So we can't squawk them all, Kyle. You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right. You're totally right.
All right. Let me see one that's a little controversial here. That's also kind of on the edge. Huh. How about this is a good one. Ninja.
Ooh, Shedinja's funny. When I first figured out what this Pokemon did in the game as like a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, it blew my mind. I remember Shedinja in was like the Pokemon of a day in an episode of the anime. I think it was like there was an arc in the anime where like Misty comes back for a while and then Togepi gets kidnapped by like a bad guy and the bad guy's main Pokemon is Shedinja. And I just like vividly remember that as a kid. Um,
Wow. Good
I
on
think
you.
yeah, I know. Can you tell that my hyperfixation as a child was Pokemon, and it still
Yeah.
is as a 30-year-old?
Crazy.
However, though, I'm gonna seize Shedinja because I was more of a Ninjask guy personally. I think Ninjask is way cooler.
Okay.
Shedinja concept wise is funny. I think having 1 HP and only being able to get knocked out by super effective stuff is hilarious. But aesthetically, I just think there's cooler ghost types.
Also,
I'll
a
come out and say
broken
it.
Pokemon in VG as well. It was I think it won a lot of regionals actually. Ninja during its time. So
Real silly guy for sure.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give you. See, this one's kind of a layup, but like, let me think. I'm looking at this list here. Okay, here we go. It's kind of a layup for you. Are we squawking or seizing Rotom?
Yeah, I saw Rotom on the list here. I didn't even know it was a ghost type. It's not even like okay. So I like Rotom because it's a key factor in Charizard. It's a very good TCG card, setup card. Draw three at the end of your turn. But ghost type wise, that thing is not a ghost. That thing is not scaring me in the middle of the night. If I see a Rotom, I'm like,
No.
yo, what's up, man? Look, let me get some info. Give me the deets. Give me the facts. It's going to be like, it's 11 p.m. Go back to sleep, George. Thank you, Rotom. See you later. You know what I mean? As a ghost type, I got to seize it. Like, it's just, it's not what you think of when you think of ghost type. Like we just talk about Shen Ninja. If I see a Shen Ninja in the middle of the night, I'm probably crapping my pants. You know what I mean? That's going to freak me the hell out. But Rotom, I'm going to be like, dude, give me some info. Let me know what's up. So for those reasons,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm seasoned Rotom.
they put it in your cell phones now, so Rotom's just become like AI. So like it's like much less scary. And also like what makes Rotom cool is the fact that it can turn into appliances, right? But when it turns into appliances, it loses its ghost type. So it's not even a ghost type anymore.
That's what I'm
So if
saying.
you're taking just ghost Rotom as a bait, it's not. There's better. I've had
It's
better.
it's not really a ghost. Let's be honest. It doesn't even deserve to be in this segment, but I respect it. All right. Let's do two more each. What do you say? Because there's a
Yeah,
lot
let's do
here.
it.
I'm going to give
Yeah,
you one of the newer Pokemon that are pretty damn awesome, in my opinion. Cerulege, Squawker Seas.
I'm glad you asked me this. I'm glad you asked me this one. I'm squawking it all day, baby. I love Cerulege, just like aesthetically. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my opinion, the humanoid Pokemon are always very hit or miss. I'm not sure if I love them or not, but Cerulege and Armarouge, they are conjoined at the hip. I think both these Pokemon aesthetically look awesome. He's got his swords are literally hands. His Japanese name is Sawbuzz, which is fun. I believe, and like I'm a big Mega Man fan. Like I love the Mega Man Battle Network games.
Yeah,
So Cerulege and Armarouge very clearly have that design to them, and it's very clear that that's where the influence came for them. He's a cool Pokemon in the anime, and he's getting a cool card in the TCG next set. So if you think if you think I'm obsessed with Goldengo right now, Cerulege EX is just red Goldengo. It's basically the same card, more or less. But I'm squawking
that's
Cerulege.
awesome.
I think it's just aesthetically, typing wise, in terms of just like cool moves it learns in a game. I used one when I played through Violet. It's just like 10 out of 10. They knocked it out of the park with that one.
That's awesome. Yeah. I also thought, just to comment real quick on that, when the trailer came out from Scarlet and Violet and you saw Armarouge and Cerulege duking it out, I was like, this game's going to be awesome. Got me so hyped. So I agree. I would have squawked that one as well.
All right, staying with new ghost type Pokemon. Are we squawking or seizing Annihilate?
Ooh, Annihilate. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a old head. I feel like they kind of like tried to make Primate cool. Like I don't know. And honestly, it took me a long time to beat Erie in the game with that darn Annihilate. Thing was kicking my ass. Um, Annihilate. Doesn't it knock itself out too?
It does have a move that does that. I know it's Final Gambit, which knocks itself out, but also I believe knocks out the opponent's Pokemon as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Annihilate. I mean, again, all right. So I'm kind of doing this on a scale like in the VG, how it interacts. Is there any cards that are cool by it? And then just overall as a ghost type, would I shit my pants if I saw it? I think I'd shit my pants if I saw it. So for those reasons, I have to squawk Annihilate. If I saw it in a dark alley, I am running the other way and looking for daylight because I am probably cooked.
Yeah, man, I don't blame him. He's a scary dude, so I think he's cool looking. I think I love when the Pokemon games like give these older Pokemon like when they give them like new evolution forms. Like I thought that was cool when they did it on Gen 4 with like Magnezone and Weavile and stuff like that. Like I just love that stuff. I think Pokemon needs to do more of that again.
Yeah, I'm with you. It is cool when they give the Gen One like a new life. So that's also why I'm squawking it too. That's a good point. I agree there. So if this one wasn't said today, we'd be absolute frauds. Especially, I have to ask you this one. Very topical for it being October 1st. Yeah, boy, Pumpkaboo.
I think Pumpkin's adorable. I'm squawking it. Gorgeist is horrifying, and
Horrifying.
I think I understand it. It's nightmare fuel. If I see Gorgeist when I wake up in the middle of the night, I'm folding. I'm just like, just kill me now, man. It's fine.
Imagine, you're going through a little harvest patch, little hayride. You got a chicken around your arm. Everything's cool and a nice brisk fall day. See a bunch of Pumpkaboo right there. It's so cute. And then Gorgeist comes out of nowhere. Oh, horrifying,
Yeah,
horrifying.
I'm going the
But
other way. Pumpkin, cute.
and it was played in Lugia back in the day, right? To bump the stadiums.
Yeah, it was a stadium bump in Lugia, which was a lot of fun, except when you started it, and then that stunk.
Yeah.
But he was a yeah, Pumpkin was a cute little guy. I'm squawking this guy 10 times out of 10, and just got, I believe this the sitting cutie for this just came out, so I will be purchasing one for sure. It's adorable. All right,
You and your plushies.
all right, George, we're gonna try to go out on a high note here, and I'm looking for a fun one. I think. Ooh, okay. This is an interesting one. The last one for the night. We squawking or seizing Spiritomb?
Spirit Tomb, Spirit Tomb. Um, it was in not this newest one, but the last one with Ash, right? When they're like on the train in the anime. There's like a
I
battle with Spirit Tomb like on the train. I think it's Horizons, right? Is it Horizons or is it whatever the
Well,
last
Horizons
one
is
was?
the current season. Journeys, Pokemon
Journeys,
Journeys.
Journeys, Journeys, Journeys. Yeah, correct. Horizons. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
Probably. I
I
think there's
definitely
an
watch
episode
it.
where they go to the. I think there's an episode where they go into Battle Subway. So I think you might be right there.
Yeah, Spirit Tomb is definitely horrifying for sure. It's literally a tomb. It's also like was a completely broken card. I did play it to a regional in Toronto. I had it in there to block Lugia actually in Gardevoir because if you can't play Luminion in back in the day, to what was the supporter that you always wanted to play in Lugia to start the game? Wasn't there a
Well,
supporter?
Luminion helps you in the beginning of your game. So
No, but in that format back then, there was a supporter that Lugia almost always played in their second turn to set up, and they always played Luminion. And I remembered like you kind of needed Spiritomb down.
oh, Professor Burnett.
Burnett, because you get two evolutionary
Yeah.
Pokemon, or discard two.
Yeah, no, Burnett. Yeah, Burnett just because discards 2 cards from your deck, just
Yeah,
outright. So
discard two cards from your deck.
getting
So
turned.
yeah, so you needed Spiritomb down. So for those reasons, it was very helpful. It's scary. I don't think it's really good in the VG, and I probably would never have it on my team. But 2 out of 3 ain't bad, like Meatloaf once said. So we're squawking that.
No, it's a good choice. Originally, before they introduced fairy types, famously had no weaknesses, so that's cool. It's famously a Pokemon that did not have a weakness for a while. And in terms of shiny Pokemon, one of the coolest looking ones. It's like bright blue and like dark
Yeah.
purple. Like the accents look really cool on it. I'm a big fan of the Tomb for sure. But yeah, that's it for this edition of Squawk and Seas, folks. I think something I'm gonna announce this right now, Jordan. I think for the month of October, we go with spooky themes for the entirety of October.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think you're onto something there. So I think we definitely keep that up. And starting with Ghost Pokemon, maybe, like you said, we maybe jumped the gun a little bit too much. Maybe we're just lazy. But hey, I think it was a lot of fun. I was happy to do it. I had fun squawking and seasoning it with you, buddy.
Every week, pal. But I think that's gonna be it for our episode this week. George, anything else? Who won the weekend for you, George? Let's do the old podcast thing. Like, who won the weekend for you, uh, Pokemon wise?
I would say, Pokemon wise, who won the weekend? I kind of want to give it to Raging Bolt. It won the cup on Sunday and Saturday. I was in, so I have to give it to Raging Bolt. I think kind of back, and it's kind of really powerful. And I kind of hate playing against that deck when it's really good. So for me, the winner was definitely seeing Raging Bolt. What
Yeah,
about you?
I think Raging Bull's been a hot topic on Twitter the past week too. The deck's good, and I think if you either beat it or you get beat by it. I will not be playing it because I refuse to spend $12 a card on
Yeah.
Raging Bolts personally. But um, for me, I'm gonna give the weekend. It's a tough one. I was torn between Yella and Rahul, but I'm going to give it to Rahul, man. You know, I think given the 3 tournament stretch he's gone on, it cannot be understated how good of a player he is. You know, Rahul has said, you know, at the end of last season a lot that he didn't really play up to a lot of his expectations as he's come out the gates very strong, you know, with, 2 top 8s and a asymmetric ninth, at Worlds. So, I think just it's if you're a Lugia believer like me, no reason to not play it, man. And again, I got to give it also a special shout out to TSS member and deck builder extraordinaire Victor Ong. Victor also helped spearhead the Lugia list that Rahul plays, and Victor is one of the smartest people I've had the pleasure of talking to. He's very very smart as a player. So if you find yourself looking for someone to talk to about Pokemon, you know, I don't know if he does coaching or not, but if he does, I'd hire him as a coach. So shout out to Rahul. Rahul won the weekend for me. So Georgie, let the people know where they can find you. What do plug the stuff?
At Pony Bottle Champ. Let's get some games on, TCGL. Find me on X. I'm trying to post, man. I'm trying to put more content, trying to interact more. I have worlds behind you, Kyle, when it comes to that. But yeah, PNYBTL Champ. Check me out. How about you, brother?
The day someone adds you on PTCG Live after listening to the podcast is going to be tremendous. It's going to be a great
Yeah,
day for us.
we're gonna talk all about it.
Yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter at KoopaNJ across platforms. I stream every now and then. I do got some YouTube stuff coming up. Shout out to my goat Cinderace EX. That card stinks. That card is so bad. But I got some YouTube stuff coming up as well. Again, if you guys haven't seen the Squawk vlog yet, please go check that out and let us know what you want to see more of from us. And that's going to be it for this week's episode. Everyone have yourselves a wonderful weekend. We'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody.